Every Five Nights at Freddy's game has an ending. Some of them are absolute peak with storytelling, reveals and music, while others are confusing and make you think, why is this an ending? With so many endings in the FNAF universe, I want to rank them from peak to why. I'll be ranking the endings from the main FNAF storyline, so that means no FNAF spin-off games, like FNAF World, Freddy Into Space and Into the Pit. I quickly describe every ending and tell you what I love about it or absolutely hate about it. I also combine the night 5 and 6 endings together. I don't want to split them up, since most of the time the endings connect to each other. Now let's see which ending deserves to be on top and which ending should end up in the forgotten void. Let's start with the first game, FNAF 1, the game that kickstarted the whole franchise. Of course, on this point, Scott hadn't thought up the whole story yet, so looking at the ending, it doesn't give us any information on the story. We get our payment check and the pink slip and that's it. Our only information we get from the ending is our name, Michael Smith, which we think is Michael Afton. So beating 5 nights only to get a screenshot from our bill is not really worth it. Of course, it's the first game, so I wouldn't expect anything big from an ending, and because of that reason, I'll put it on the meh rank. FNAF 2 has some of the best character designs, a great story and eerie Easter eggs, but what the game lacks is a good ending. FNAF 2 starts with this creepy cutscene while you're inside Freddy and get to see the FNAF 1 location. And every night that you beat, the cutscene will start again, but with a small change. This is a really cool way of progressing in the game. You get these small rewards that gives you some more storytelling and still being very frightening. But when you reach the end and complete night 5, you get the same ending as FNAF 1. A payment check with your name and 0 answers.
What?
It's like the game is building up to something big for the end, just to be another payment check. And the night 6 ending is no different, just another bill with a newspaper that tells the pizzeria is out of business. Very disappointing, since the start of the game is so good. I have to put this ending in the Y rank. Scott could have easily added another cutscene or something different from the FNAF 1 ending. There are 2 different endings in FNAF 3, the good and the bad ending. I'll start with the bad ending first. When you beat night 5, you play an 8-bit minigame that takes place in the FNAF 1 pizzeria. You enter the secret room where you see William Afton being absolutely terrified by the ghost children he killed. He quickly hides in the Spring Bonnie costume, laughs for a moment and then gets spring locked. After that, you get the 5 heads on the ground with lights still shining in their eyes, which means that the spirits are still inside the animatronics. Something I love about FNAF is the storytelling in an 8-bit minigame. It shows you what happened without giving you too much detail. You need your own imagination on how the ending would look like. This ending is really important in the storyline and tells you who Springtrap really is. And seeing him getting spring-locked while the spirits slowly fade out gives me a satisfied feeling. I'll put this ending on Fantastic, because it's still a bad ending. Now over to the good ending. Here you play as Puppet and have to deliver the birthday cake to the crying child. The 5 murdered children are all there, wearing a mask except for crying child. When you place the birthday cake, crying child stops crying, looks at the cake and turns into a golden Freddy mask. All the other children are also vanishing, leaving their mask behind, meaning that they all moved on to a better place. This gets confirmed by the last image where we see the heads again, but this time without any lights. Just like the bad ending, this ending leaves me satisfied. Knowing that the children finally find peace and William Afton rotting in the Spring Bonnie costume gives me a great feeling. If Scott really wanted to make this the last FNAF game, it could actually work. But of course,
I always come back.
Something else I really love about this ending is the small detail of Puppet's mask slowly falling, giving us a hint that her work is not done yet. It's so insane to me that this little detail just meant something in the story. This one will definitely go on the peak list. The Bite of 83 is an interesting ending. Here we get to know 2 children from William Afton, Crying Child and Michael Afton. The crying child is scared of these animatronics in the pizzeria, and his brother makes fun of that. He scares him most of the time with the Foxy mask and trapped him once in the parts and service room. On Crying Child's birthday, Michael's prank gets too far. He throws his little brother in the animatronic mouth of Fredbear, and after a lot of giggles, the jaw of Fredbear crushes Crying Child's head. After that, we get this really sad moment of Crying Child being in a void while the Plus Fredbear talks to him and saying he can fix him. It's a tragic story for the Afton family that made William the serial killer we all know. I feel very sorry for Crying Child being always bullied by his brother and eventually die on his own birthday. And a really shocking death too. Seeing a kid get crushed by a big animatronic mouth must look horrible. I've gotta be honest, I still don't know who's the one talking to Crying Child in the void. It could be Michael Afton, because he apologized to him, but it could also be the puppet, since it told him he could fix him. I'm still not sure, but I guess one of those two. The ending is great, it has really good storytelling, a bit confusing, but that's FNAF, and the music playing in the void really fits the sad feeling. I'll say this is a fantastic ending. Now the biggest mystery in the FNAF franchise, the FNAF 4 box. What's inside this box? I believe this box has no purpose in the FNAF lore. Scott has said before that he had an idea for what's in the box, but wouldn't fit in the story later. So I think he abandoned the box, which basically means the ending is worthless. You need to beat the 7th night in FNAF 4, which is really hard to do, and then get the ending that just tells you nothing. That's not worth it in my opinion. This ending goes all the way down to why. The main ending in this location is the one where you get scooped. And it mimics Baby's voice and lures you into the scooper room. Once there, you can see all the shells from the funtime animatronics on the ground and see what they become behind the glass. Then you get scooped and it crawls inside your body and see your reflection in the mirror.
Oh my god.
It's one of the weirdest endings in FNAF. Instead of a sad story, we get this dark animatronic story. The animatronics want to escape the building, but that goes beyond their programming. So instead, they fuse together to beat the system and make a perfect body that can hide in a human. I like this dark twist for the animatronics. It makes them more dangerous than the original gang. It's cool to see how smart Ennard is. It reminds me a bit of the Mimic honestly, and that reveal in the mirror while you hear weird noises from Michael in the back really gives me chills. But I got to say, it's not as good as the FNAF 3 and 4 ending. It doesn't hit the same honestly, so I think this fits in the great list. If you don't listen to Ennard and go left, you end up in the security office. Here you get the boss fight against Ennard. Once you survive the night, you go back home to watch some more TV. But unfortunate for our character, Ennard tracked us down and found us in our home. I got a mixed opinion on this ending. The things I like on this ending is that you can actually ignore Ennard and be smarter than him. The face-off is also really cool. It's basic FNAF gameplay, but this time with one animatronic. But what I don't like about this ending is that it's basically the same outcome as the other ending for Sister Location. And it will eventually take over your body. It's creepy how he casually just crawls inside your home, but that doesn't make the ending better. I'll put it in a meh list. It does show how strong Ennard is, but it's still the same outcome as the other ending. When you beat Golden Freddy mode on the custom night, you get a special ending. It shows the aftermath of Ennard living in Michael's body. After their body slowly rots and people getting scared on how Michael looks,
This guy stinks!
Ennard decides to leave the body and hide in the sewers. The animatronics had a discussion with Baby and decided to leave her in the body. But by a miracle, Baby revived Michael and they go back to the location. After that, we get this really cool dialogue of Michael talking to his father, explaining what he has done in the location and wants to find him. Then the cutscene ends with one last look at Springtrap. This is the ending that gives Michael's purpose in the story. Seeing how much they tortured him and then leaving his body like he means nothing really builds up that revenge story to kill his dad. William was the one that sent Michael to the location. He has seen what kind of monster his dad is. For him there's only one reason he's still alive: to end his dad for good. I love this dark backstory for Michael and the dedication to find and kill his dad. And that shot with Springtrap always gives me goosebumps. The story is great, the music gives me chills. This is a fantastic FNAF ending. In FNAF 6 there are 6 endings. What a coincidence. I split these endings in two: the canon ending and the certificate endings. Let's first look at the certificate endings. There's nothing special on these endings. Every time Hand Unit talks about how badly you did on running the business. There is one ending that is more interesting, that's the Insanity certificate. Here you get to see the blueprints of some animatronics and machines like the Scooper. You hear Henry talk about how he never saw the evil side of his friend William and what his plan is to stop all the animatronics. We were never supposed to hear this, so we end up in an asylum. Wait! Because there is only one good ending in storytelling, I will put this ending on the meh rank. Now the greatest ending in the FNAF franchise, the canon ending from FNAF 6. Do I even have to explain the ending? I think everyone knows how it goes. We hear Square Baby talking, thinking she won because they can kill all these kids in the pizzeria, but then she gets connection terminated and Henry comes with the greatest speech I have ever heard in a game. Talking about how he trapped the animatronics without them realizing it, how he apologizes to his daughter for not being there for her, and then the epic line to William where he says,
"The darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole."
This is a masterpiece ending, sacrificing yourself to end all of this madness, killing literally every important character in the story with a good satisfaction. For some people, FNAF ended here, and I can totally see that. I have nothing bad to say about this ending. Absolute peak. I think there will never be a better ending in the FNAF franchise than this one. Scott decided that William hadn't been through enough pain and made UCN. The hell William Afton ended up after the FNAF 6 fire. There's one ending in UCN, and that's the Golden Freddy ending. I'm not counting Chica's high school year and the Samurai Freddy story for this ranking. The Golden Freddy ending is really simple, but still hits pretty hard. You see Golden Freddy twitching in the void and slowly fade out, meaning he's done torturing William Afton and is ready to move on. It's nice to see that Golden Freddy has not been forgotten and gets his own redemption by torturing William with 50 animatronics. I got to say, it's hard to get this ending. I believe you have to beat 48 or 49/20 mode, and that's something you don't just do. So looking at what you get for beating the hardest game in the franchise, it does not really satisfy me. I'll put this on the great list, not a bad ending, but Scott could have done more and the price is really high. I'll be honest, the Help Wanted endings are not my favorite. The first ending you get is when you beat Pizza Party. Glitchtrap shows up behind the curtains, you follow him and he starts dancing while the end credits roll. That's it, nothing more. It's really confusing and I have no idea where this goes with the lore. You are holding a microphone during the end, so this could mean you've been stuffed inside Freddy, just like what William Afton did with the kids, so that's pretty terrifying if you think about it. The main focus on the game is to experience FNAF in VR, so I wouldn't expect a huge ending. But still, it's not a great ending, so I put it on Y. The second ending is the one where Glitchtrap traps you inside a big iron door. This one is also really confusing. You first need to press some random buttons to escape from Glitchtrap. If you fail, you swap places and have the Glitchtrap hands, which probably means he took over your mind. If you do manage to escape him, you find yourself in front of an iron door with hand marks everywhere. Here you see Glitchtrap telling you basically to shut up and then disappear in the void. I think Glitchtrap is a wasted character. They could have done so much more with him, but he reminds me now of a weak build-up story for the new FNAF lore. Especially when you see what happens to him in Help Wanted 2. Yes, he needs to represent the virus of the Mimic, but he doesn't remind me of the Mimic at all. I see more William Afton in his character, which does make sense because the Mimic knows who William Afton is, but because the ending is still confusing and doesn't explain a lot about the virus, I give this a meh rank. There are 6 different endings in Security Breach. Let's start with the alley ending first. Here you leave Freddy and escape the Pizzaplex. In this ending you find out that Gregory is homeless and has no parents, which is really sad, and to make it even worse, Fanny found him in the alley. Seeing this for the first time, I felt very sorry for Gregory. I first thought he was an annoying kid, but knowing this changed the way I looked at Gregory. It's a bad ending, people keep missing in the Pizzaplex and Gregory probably did not survive. It's not the strongest ending, but I think it fits in the great list. Over to a much happier ending, the fan ending. Here you escape the Pizzaplex with Freddy in a van. For some reason, Gregory can drive a car now, and Freddy's battery problem is fixed by the car battery. It's a non-serious ending, just to make you laugh, and I gotta be honest, I love it. The bond between Freddy and Gregory is very wholesome, and the background music hits hard. And don't forget about the hilarious newspaper where Mr. Hippo takes Freddy's place. It doesn't make sense at all, but this ending always gives me a smile, and that's why I put it on the great list. Now on to the worst ending, the rooftop ending. Here you escape the Pizzaplex through the fire escape. Out of nowhere, Freddy pulls out a lighter inside his finger and starts to burn the whole Pizzaplex. Then they see Fanny on the rooftop and Freddy can finally see her because of Roxy's eyes. He starts running up to her, pushes her off the building while sacrificing himself too. Gregory runs quickly down the stairs to see what happens. He sees Fanny's body laying on the ground. He decides to unmask her and we can see it was Vanessa all along. But that's not it. After the credits, we see Vanessa on the top of the building looking down. What? Yeah, this ending doesn't make sense at all. First of all, why did Freddy turn so dark out of nowhere? He keeps talking about not wanting to hurt his friends, but now he sets the whole Pizzaplex on fire that will definitely kill all his friends. And what's the point of exposing Fanny while you make us confused by bringing Vanessa back on the roof? It's probably the spirit of Vanessa looking down, but I found this so weird that they put this in the ending. It's confusing and so random that they will put it all the way down on the Y list. Fanny's death is probably the saddest ending. Here you try to fight against Fanny, but she ambushes Freddy with the staff bots. Gregory quickly runs to a secret hideout and finds the button that controls the staff bots. Fanny almost grabs Gregory, but he quickly presses the button to disassemble Fanny. After a gruesome death, Gregory runs back to Freddy to find out he has been damaged a lot. He's about to die and says his last words to Gregory.
You are my superstar. That's what I'm talking about. This shit means something to me.
I had tears in my eyes when I first played this ending. It's definitely the most touching ending from Security Breach. And looking back on how Fanny died is very gruesome. Just imagine all those staff bots ripping limbs and organs out of Fanny. That's very dark and I want to see more of that in FNAF. It's the ending that made me cry a bit and it's dark, so I put it on Fantastic. Rescuing Fanny is a bit different than killing her. This time, instead of pushing the button, we're playing Princess Quest. Inside the game, there are different references to Help Wanted, like the Spring Bonnie plushie and the mask. On the end of Princess Quest, we see the big iron door again. If we open the door, we hear a weird scream and the game fades black. After that, we see all the staff bots deactivating and the Fanny mask on the ground. We grab Freddy's head and walk to the exit. Once there, Vanessa is waiting for us to leave together. And after the credits, we see Gregory, Freddy and Vanessa on a hill enjoying an ice cream. The canon ending. This ending shows that we defeated the Mimic virus and helped Vanessa to get the virus out of her head. I like that we defeated a part of the Mimic in Security Breach. What I find weird on this ending is that we play an arcade game while Fanny is after us and Freddy is dying. And speaking of Freddy, why is he in this ending not dead? The exact same thing happened to him in the other ending and didn't survive. So why did he survive this? The ending is overall pretty good, but it has some quirks. I'll say it's a meh for me. Now the last ending, the burn trap ending. There's a lot going on in this ending. First, we go inside a sketchy elevator that can only survive one trip. Once we're down, we see this huge brown Freddy head, which is probably from an older pizzeria. If we go further in the cave, we get this shocking reveal that the FNAF 6 pizzeria had always been right underneath our noses. What? Inside the pizzeria, we can still see the old decoration, like the small and big stage. There's one big hole that goes deeper down into the restaurant. Here we get to see the blob for the first time. Once we pass him with Freddy, we fall down into this weird looking office. From there, we get to see Burn Trap for the first time. He tries to take control over Freddy and we must stop him by using the burners inside the restaurant. After we did that, the whole building is about to collapse, so Freddy and Gregory escape. Meanwhile, Burn Trap has troubles walking away and gets taken down by the blob, and that's the end. Like I said, there's a lot going on in this ending. Getting to see the FNAF 6 pizzeria blew my mind. I remember going in and started to think of what pizzeria this could be. After seeing the arcades and the stages, I recognized this is the FNAF 6 location. And then the Burn Trap reveal, thinking it was William Afton, was so insane. Luckily it's not William Afton but the Mimic, which is still really cool. Just to think about the endoskeleton pretending to be William Afton is so creepy. The burns inside the pizzeria of course shows you how Henry burned the place down, which is also a nice detail. I love this ending. The only complaints I have is how did the glamour animatronics end up here and how did Freddy and Gregory escape while the whole place fell down. That doesn't really make sense, but after all I love it and I think it's a peak ending. The Mimic reveal in Ruin was such an epic moment. We went down again into the FNAF 6 pizzeria to free the Mimic. Of course, we didn't know it was the Mimic, he tricked us by using Gregory's voice. Once we freed the Mimic, it tried to kill us, but Roxy quickly jumps in between and starts fighting the Mimic. Unfortunate for Roxy, the Mimic is way stronger and defeats her. Then we need to run away from the Mimic while he's chasing us down. On the end, we find the elevator and we quickly power up and escape from the Mimic just in time. Unfortunate for Cassie, Gregory tells it's too dangerous that the Mimic follows Cassie back to the surface, so he crashes the elevator, letting Cassie all alone under the Pizzaplex. But there's a little bit of hope, because we hear Roxy speaking out our name. Gregory!
Oh my god, bro.
And that's the big cliffhanger. We still don't know on this point how it's gonna continue. When I played Rune for the first time, I didn't know the Mimic would be the actual villain. Of course, later in the game Gregory's voice became a bit distorted and I recognized some lines that were used in Security Breach. So I didn't completely trust Gregory anymore. And that was for the best, because it turned out to be a killer endoskeleton. I thought it was a really great idea to find out that it was always the Mimic who was pulling the strings. His reveal in the dark room was such a sick moment, and seeing him pushing a forklift out of the way really shows you how strong the Mimic is. Maybe a little bit exaggerated, but I love it. The only complaint I have on this ending is that the chase scene was pretty boring, except for the moment you power up the elevator. That was intense. A great ending that gave us our first look at the main villain and is the first ending that ends up on a cliffhanger. I think this ending deserves the peak rank. I was not sure of this choice, but looking back at the ending and knowing it introduced the Mimic, I'm satisfied to put it on top. Now we go over to something very different from peak, the Fredbear ending. During the chase with the Mimic, you can take a ride where you see an old Fredbear cutout. When you put on a mask, you can go through it and get this really weird ending. Gregory and Vanessa are back on the hill with Helpy this time. Gregory tells Cassie that he found a spot to hide and you can hear Cassie breathing heavily. I guess Cassie dies in this ending because the Mimic shows us a happy ending through the mask while he actually gets us. I think they made this ending just to say that Rune has officially 3 endings. This ending deserves to be on the lowest rank. Why? We go back to the Mimic chase, but this time with a small change. Out of nowhere, the Mimic wears an old costume. The chase is exactly the same, apart from the end. This time we go through the left door and find ourselves in some sort of scooper room. We quickly press the big red button that activates the scooper arm, which will kill the Mimic. This is a really mysterious ending. I was so confused seeing the Mimic in a costume that doesn't look like any FNAF character. There are more costumes in this small room that has no connection to Fazbear Entertainment. Of course now we know it's from Murray Custom Manor, but back when Secret of the Mimic wasn't announced, I was so hyped for the next FNAF game. Seeing old costumes in the FNAF 6 location tells you there was more going on back in the old FNAF. Same with the new scooper room. Why is it here in the FNAF 6 location? What did Henry know about the Mimic? It raises questions for the new FNAF game and I like that. The ending is so mysterious and it hypes the upcoming FNAF game so good, this ending fits in the Fast-tastic list. To get the first ending in Help 1 and 2, you need to collect all 6 Fast Force figures. In this ending, you are once again back in the FNAF 6 pizzeria. You see the Freddy's charging station in front of you and Glitchtrap's hand peeks out of it. Then you get surrounded by those evil staff bots and they take you down. You wake up as Maskbot and see Cassie in front of you. You give the mask to Cassie and the end credits start rolling. This ending is a bit better than the original Help Wanted endings. The theory is that we play as Cassie's father and see what happened to him in the Pizzaplex. He was probably one of the team members that went down to investigate the sinkhole. Unfortunate for him, he did not survive and his soul is now stuck in the Maskbot.
You serious, my brother?
The ending gives a bit more information about Cassie's backstory, but it's not important for the lore, at least for now. I like the story, but the ending is a bit boring. I'll put this on meh. When you find all the 6 secret plushies, you are finally able to play Princess Quest. After playing it a bit in 2D, we can actually play it in VR, which is really sick. On the end, you see a small graveyard where you need to fire up the cauldrons in an exact order. Then the door in the back opens and you see a familiar face. You give the AR mask to the old man and in return he gives you the Spring Bonnie Plus from Help Wanted. The elevator brings you inside a claw machine where you see a huge version of Fanny staring at you. You give the Spring Bonnie Plus to Moon,
thank you,
where he will give it to Fanny. The plus turns into Glitchtrap and Fanny crushes him to death.
I always come.
There's one thing I really love about this ending and one thing I really hate about this ending. I like that we are able to play Princess Quest in VR. It turns the whole game into a dungeon explorer which really works in VR. What I don't like about this ending is that it's basically the Fanny ending in Security Breach. It just shows more in depth what happened inside the arcade. Fanny is free from Glitchtrap, he's dead, Steelwood just wants to make sure you know it. And bringing back Princess Quest over and over again starts to annoy me. I love the VR version of Princess Quest, but please, stop bringing it back. This is definitely the best VR ending, but still not fantastic. It goes into great. If you give the data diver in Secret of the Mimic to Hand Unit, you get a bad ending. After collecting the Mimic data, Arnold wants to go home and gives the data diver to Hand Unit. But instead of giving it to Hand Unit, we accidentally gave it to the Mimic.
Are you serious right now, bro?
We enter our car and drive home, but then the angry Hand Unit talks about how disrespectful our actions were. Arnold thought he gave it to him and is very confused. Finally, we see the Mimic in the back of our van and starts attacking us. Then we get stuff inside a prototype Freddy, which tells us there is more going on in this factory. Pretty basic ending, honestly. I didn't know the Mimic took over Hand Unit's voice, so that was quite a surprise for me. And I'm happy I chose this ending first on my gameplay, because this ending shows you a sneak peek on the next ending, which I really like. I don't really have bad things to say about this ending, honestly. It's definitely not the best ending, but I think it fits well in the great list. If we don't give the data diver to the Mimic, we can start the parachute.exe ending. Here we go for a secret exit that leads to a prototype version of the FNAF 1 pizzeria. You have to drain the power from there to get to the security office. In this pizzeria we find a prototype suit from Spring Bonnie and Fredbear, which is insane. When we finally made it into the security office, we find out that it's M1 talking to us. M1 is basically the MXCS machine, but programmed to be Fiona, the wife of Edwin. She lets us into Edwin's house, so we can talk to Edwin, asking him to finish M2.
Please, you gotta do it for me, I'm begging you.
Once we're in the house, M2 is trying to kill us, while we need to figure out a 5-digit code. By collecting the old recordings, we figure out the code, but also the backstory of Edwin and the Mimic.
Holy shit.
We quickly run into an elevator to escape from the Mimic that eventually ends up in a chase scene. In this chase scene we can see the little robots trying to get us, which looks really funny. After we escape the factory, we quickly jump in our van, driving away from the factory. Unfortunate, the Mimic holds on to the van and crashes us. Then he collects the data diver and runs away with it. This is a long ending. I like seeing the prototype version of Spring Bonnie and Fredbear. It's maybe our closest look of what the actual Fredbear would look like. Interesting to see is that the original FNAF location was never created by Fazbear Entertainment, but stolen from Edwin's custom manor. The chasing is really chaotic in a good way. There's so much going on, and the background music is an actual banger. The only downside on this ending are the mini robots. They do make the chase more chaotic, but they look very goofy and make it a bit hard to take the ending serious. And where did they even come from? They just showed up at the last moment. There's so much to talk about on this ending, and I can't keep yapping about what's good and what's bad. So in my opinion, it deserves to be on peak. The last ending I need to rank is the David ending. I guess that's what they call it. Here you collect new data from the moon.exe and need to bring it to the house of Edwin. With this new data, you can open up secret doors where you collect cartridges. Once you found them all, you go through a ventilation shaft and end up in a bedroom that looks very familiar. Here you need to read the bedtime story to calm the Mimic down. Once he's stuck in place, you insert the new data into him and he becomes David. He jumps in bed and deactivates. There's a lot you need to do for this ending, like collecting every item in the game, playing the moon.exe, and find all the secret cartridges. And doing all that, you expect a big ending. But that's not what you really get. I don't hate the ending, I think it's nice that we saved the Mimic, he doesn't seek rage and anger anymore, but I expected a bit more. This one will fit nicely into the great list. And there you have it, all endings ranked. Do you guys agree with my tier list, or would you like to beat the shit out of me? Let me know what's your favorite ending down in the comments. If you liked the video and want me to make more ranking videos, subscribe to the channel.